what is regenerative agriculture then? Because it's a term that gets thrown around a lot. I think a lot of people in our spaces are familiar with it. They love this idea of supporting farmers doing it right. But for the layperson, they might not even know what that term means. They're starting to see things like grass-fed and finished, but rotational grazing, regenerative agriculture, it's the right way, and at least in my opinion, I'm sure yours. So what are the key differences between more of a classical farming operation?
Well, so, and it's interesting because what we would call classical or conventional farming now was not at all conventional a couple hundred years ago.
Yeah.
So much has changed in the last 100 years. Regenerative agriculture at its core is farming in the image of nature. You're trying to mimic nature and create healthy ecosystems. And so with that comes balance, which exists in nature. So in environments where you're growing a monocrop and you're leveraging pesticides to keep pests away, you're creating terrible imbalances in nature, right? Because when you kill a certain aphid that destroys your crop, you're also killing all of the other predator insects that would keep the aphid in check. Similarly, when you are growing a monocrop of one type of plant, there's an imbalance in how nutrients are being cycled in the soil, because legumes, forbs, grasses, they all cycle nutrients together, and they leverage the mycorrhizal fungi in the soil to do that. And so you greatly inhibit those processes when you introduce chemicals and monocrops into the soil and onto your farm. And similarly, in the case of like feedlot beef, for example, when you have a lot of animals packed into a tight space for a long time, you create an imbalance, and that, those guys preemptively leverage medicated feed, antibiotics and things to try to prevent sickness from breaking out and infecting these densely populated animals. And so all of these practices leverage synthetic inputs at their core to overcome temporarily the imbalances that are created and the risks that are associated with that. Regenerative agriculture does the opposite. It tries to mimic nature and allow nature to flow like it does. Do you get the same yield per acre regenerative agriculture that you can still grow row crops using regenerative practices, and we still produce beef and all these things, but it's not as efficient perhaps, but long term, it's a more nutrient dense food. It's better for the environment, and I believe it to be the. I would go so far as to say that it is the correct way of producing food.
Hello friends, if you enjoyed that clip, then you can watch the entire thing by heading to this link over here, or you can find us wherever you find podcasts by searching Radical Health Radio. If there's value here, please hit that like button, let us know in a comment what your biggest takeaway was, and hit subscribe, support the show as we support you. We'll see you soon.